I'm Master Elder with Legacy Taekwondo, and today's Thursday video is going to have a little bit different approach than some of our previous Thursday workouts, mostly because I know that a lot of us, both kids and adults, have been spending a significant amount of time behind our computer. Some of us, even people who, like myself, don't usually spend time behind our computer given the nature of our work. So instead of having a workout today that's warm-up, cardio strength, stretching at the end, what we're going to do is a briefer warm-up and then some exercises that will help loosen you up when you are working on your computer and kind of counteract some of the tightnesses and weaknesses that we develop by sitting in that computer posture all day. I will touch on a couple other basic things to help minimize fatigue from your posture as well towards the end of the video. So ideally, you don't want to stretch your muscles cold. That can lead to an injury or an unexpected pull. So what we want to do is a little bit of warm up to increase blood flow, increase heat, increase mobility. But when you're working, you don't have time usually to spend 10 or 15 minutes just warming up the muscles before you stretch them out. So we're going to hit a few warm-up exercises for the neck, upper body, and then one full body warm-up exercise that's going to help loosen and heat up the muscles. So starting with the neck, we're just going to do 10 times up and down. Tilt your chin down to your chest and up to the ceiling. 1, 2. So this should be a just slow, controlled pace, working within the range of motion that your neck feels is safe, okay? We're just taking those muscles and warming them up a little bit. All right, that's 10. Now we're going to take our ear side to side. We're not pulling our shoulder up to our ear. We're pulling our ear down to our shoulder. Most likely, if you have a normal neck range of motion, you're probably not going to touch your shoulder with your ear, and that's fine. That's not the goal. We're just lengthening and shortening and moving these muscles a little bit more than what they've been doing while you've been sitting all cooped up in your chair, so that they're getting a little bit more heat. Okay? Now we're going to start with one ear down, rotate our chin down, and then to the other side. Do not rock behind you to look at the ceiling. We're going ear, chin, ear, ear, chin, ear. Okay? We don't want to rock that all the way back. And with each one of these, I'm just doing 10 reps, okay? Nothing that's going to take a significant amount of time. All right, one more for the neck. I want you to think that you're hiding behind a post and you're going to go forward and then pull back. Forward and then pull back. So you're playing hide and seek, you're peeking out of your spot and then sucking your head back in so that whoever's looking for you can't find you in your hiding spot. So you're peeking, pull back. All right? So a lot of times when we are in a digital environment, we spend a significant amount of time in the head forward position or the head down position. So we're at our computer and we're here or we're here. And that can create stress and tightness and imbalance in the neck. And actually over years of time, it can change the natural curve of your neck. So this forward, back helps kind of balance out and heat up those muscles to get in a good posture, okay? So we've warmed up our neck. The next group of muscles we want to hit is kind of the shoulders and the chest. So we're going small circles forward with our arms. Normally I would maybe go about 10 seconds small, 10 seconds medium, and 10 seconds. Large going forward, and then repeat going backwards, okay? Mobility is really good for your joints. Not only is warming up going to help you with heating up the muscles and increasing blood flow to those areas so that you don't injure yourself, but it is also, let's go ahead and do a couple pushes and pulls. It's also going to increase joint fluid. So you have a fluid that your joints naturally produce called synovial fluid. Let's do just some gentle rotations through the core, nothing fast, nothing explosive. But that synovial fluid lubricates the joints so that they can move easily, okay? And when we sit, or when any joint stays in a certain posture for a certain duration of time without natural ranges of motion, the joint gets tight. And so that's where you kind of feel that stiffness and that creakiness in the joint when you start moving it again. All right, so this is going to be our last warm-up exercise, and this is going to be more full body, okay? So what I want you to do, we'll start facing this way, hands out. We're going to squat down, touch the floor, straighten your legs, squat back down, hands up, reach overhead, okay? Squat down, touch the floor, straighten up, squat down, hands up, reach overhead, okay? For today, we're going to do 5. If you want to get a little bit more heat and warmth in all of your muscles, you can do as many as 10 or 15. And I will say that this is a very nice full body exercise. So let's assume, we'll finish with this one here, that you don't have time to do anything else. That could be a good 5 to 15 reps just to get your body moving again, opening everything up, and then back to your work. And that would be skipping all of the stretches that are about to follow. Okay, so that in and of itself took just a few minutes. If you needed to abbreviate out some of the exercises, you could, but you want to spend maybe a couple minutes in your warm-up just to loosen up the muscles, get the joints moving, get some blood flow to the areas that you're about to stretch, get some of that natural synovial fluid going in the joints that you're about to move, and maximize the range of motion. Okay, so from there, we are going to start targeting some of the muscles that get tight from our seated position. So when you are in a seated position, I'm going to bring out my stability ball. Okay, so our hamstrings can get tight. Our hip flexors, which are these muscles right here, get tight because they're in a shortened position. A lot of times our core muscles can get tight, and our chest muscle, or our core muscles get weak and our chest muscles get tight, okay? So we sit here and these muscles in the back end up doing a lot of extra work, okay? What happens, imagine you had a resistance band, something that was stretchy and elastic, and you hung a bowling ball from the bottom of it. Even if it's a really strong band, at first it's going to hold that integrity, hold its length. But when it stays there holding that bowling ball for a long time, it's going to stretch, it's going to stretch, and it's going to stretch. So a band whose natural length started here, over time is going to be here, okay, or more. But the point being is when your muscles are asked to be in a stretched position and hold up a weight like your head or your upper body for a long period of time, they get weak and they get stretched out and they get sore from being overworked. So what we feel like we need to do is, oh, my back is sore, my neck is sore, I'm gonna round into that and relax those muscles and loosen them up. And you feel that moment of, oh, this feels so much better, they're not working, they're getting stretched out, I feel better. But as soon as you go back to what you were doing, you're in the same posture, and so you tend to feel that fatigue and that pain and that stress come back right away. What really needs to happen is we need to open up the muscles that are getting tight, engage the muscles that are getting weak, and allow the muscles that are needing to help us strengthen up, okay? So, that being said, we're going to start by stretching out the pec muscles first. The best way to do this is in a doorway, door frame, corner of your wall where it comes together and creates a nice solid edge. You're going to start with your elbow in line with your shoulder, and the entire flush part of your forearm right here is going to be up against the frame. Okay? Here. Matching arms, so my right arm, my right leg is going to step forward, and I'm not rotating my body at all, either away or in to that elbow. I'm stepping straight forward and stretching across, okay? So this is opening up the muscles that naturally get tight when I do this forward posture, and I'm keeping my body upright, okay? So this stretch should pull through here, through the top of your chest muscles up here, okay? And that is because of this alignment here. The next one that we're going to do, you're going to keep this part of your arm flush on the frame, but your elbow is going to line up with your eyes, okay? Same thing, matching leg is going to step through. Now you're going to feel that stretch pull down into the side of the chest muscles, okay? They also get tight from that forward posture. You may also feel it up here a little bit more because of the way your shoulder is extended, all right? But again, we're working to open up those muscles that are getting tight from your forward posture, okay? I'm going to go ahead and shut the door so we're not getting background noise from my downstairs. And then, of course, you would repeat those exercises on the other side. So how long do we hold them for? My personal opinion, I would say a minimum of 10 seconds up to 30 seconds on each side. Or I really like the breathing. So instead of counting time, count number of breaths. So maybe 3 to 10 deep breaths in and out. So I'm here, step forward in that stretch position, and I'm okay, so 3 deep breaths is going to take me anywhere from 8 to 10 seconds maybe, okay? But what that's doing is it's also opening up your chest cavity, so you're kind of increasing that stretch a little bit as you breathe in, and by taking in your more oxygen intentionally, you are giving your body the opportunity to flush more oxygen to the muscles in order to relax, okay? So we've got our 2 chest stretches there. The next muscle group that we are going to attack is the front of the hips, the hip flexors. So we're going to be in a kneeling position, okay? I'm going to get something to kneel on for today. One knee down, one knee forward. Notice I'm not splayed out where I'm kind of in this awkward position. My feet are parallel with my hips. My body is upright. First thing I'm going to do is pull that belly button in as if I'm trying to touch my spine with my belly button, okay? And then from there, I'm going to squeeze the glute muscle on this hip that's open. The glute is your butt, all right? You're going to squeeze your glute muscle, driving that hip forward to increase the stretch through here. The reason we want to open these muscles up is because your hip flexors attach from the long bone in your thigh, called your femur, to the inside of your pelvis, which kind of is shaped like this and is flat. And so what happens is because they connect there, when they tighten up, they allow you to bring your knee up and flex your hip. When they sit in a tightened position, though, they take that pelvis and they tilt it forward. And when your top pelvis is tilted forward, you get compression in your low back, and so we get shortness in those muscles in the low back. Drive that hip forward, put that belly button in, squeeze the glutes. If you want to increase this stretch, bring one hand overhead. We'll pull and lengthen the muscles attached even more. but when you get that pelvis rotated forward, you're going to get compression in the low back, and it's going to cause low back pain. And when your back is arched like this, so when we're here in this position, these muscles are stretched out, and again, we talked about those stretched out muscles getting weaker and weaker. Okay, so we want to open up those hip flexors so that we can get that pelvis in a correct position. Okay, the next muscles that get tight. So briefly, let me address how do I do that stretch if I'm not, maybe I have bad knees, I'm not comfortable being down on my knees. You can just kind of rock that foot back, bend your knee, maybe grab some place where you can hold on. So I'm creating the same alignment. My shoulders, my hips, my knees are stacked, my belly button's engaged. I'm squeezing my glute muscle to drive the hip open. The only difference is I'm not getting into a position where I'm down on my knee, okay? So that is an option if you are not comfortable getting down on the knees in order to stretch your hip flexors, okay? Next exercise is going to be for the hamstrings. So since posture is a big deal, right, and that's part of what's causing, poor posture is part of what's causing our back and neck to feel bad when we are sitting for long periods of time, we want to maintain our posture while we're stretching. So the best way to do that is to be able to lay down so you can create that natural posture. So if you are not comfortable getting down on the floor, this exercise could probably be done on a couch or a bed, okay? If you're working from home, most likely both are accessible. Also, if you are not comfortable, if you are not flexible enough to reach your legs when you're stretching, we can always grab a towel and help, okay? So, step one, lay back, head back, okay? We're not pulling our neck off of the floor while we're trying to keep postural alignment, okay? Step two, straighten out the leg that's not being stretched. Step three, grab the leg that is being stretched and hold while you lengthen it out, okay? This allows you to maintain your postural alignment and stretch the muscle at the same time. What does this look like if you're using a towel to assist? Towel behind the leg and using that towel to pull. Now, notice the first time I grabbed the back of my thigh, not my knee. The second time when I use the towel, I put the towel around my calf, not my knee, okay? You never really want to pull on your knee joint in order to create a stretch, okay? You don't want to make that joint vulnerable while you're trying to stretch other muscles, okay? Just grab the back of the leg, grab the back of the calf, use your towel to assist you if you need to, but don't grab your knee, okay? Obviously, we would do both sides. If you feel really tight, I recommend more than one rep or more than one set of each, so 10 to 30 seconds on the right, 10 to 30 seconds on the left, switch back, switch back, switch back, switch back. However, use your judgment. These are obviously designed to help you stretch in the middle of a work day, okay? Next one we're going to do is your quad stretch, okay? Again, if you're not comfortable getting on the floor for your quad stretch, go somewhere where you can balance. Grab your foot with your hand and pull your heel to your behind or as close to your behind as possible. You also want to make sure that you are keeping your knees together so that we're not flaying out the side, and you're keeping your knees aligned so we're not drifting forward. That keeps this muscle stretched rather than shortening as it goes forward, right? And it doesn't pulling me out of alignment. I'm able to maintain my posture when I'm here, okay? What if I'm standing but I can't reach my leg or can't reach my foot? Trusty towel. Loop it around your foot. Maybe you need a towel longer than this, that's fine. Same thing, you're pulling with the towel. Maybe your foot only comes to here, that's fine. As long as you're getting a good stretch, that's what's important. I also personally like to do this stretch laying on my stomach. I feel like it's easier to maintain that alignment. And for me, since I can pretty much touch my behind with my heel, I can increase my stretch by pushing and lifting my chest. So now I'm feeling more stretch through the front of my quad muscle than what I am usually able to get in a standing position, okay? So this is an option for you. If you're super flexible, you can always push up onto the palm of your hand so you're fully up in this position while you're pulling, okay? So those have hit the big muscles that get tight, okay? Chest, hip flexor, hamstrings, quads, all right? I would say if you're really sore and you don't have a lot of time, try and hit those big muscle groups. The next two stretches that I'm going to touch on are going to target specifically the neck muscles, okay? So maybe you're sitting at your computer, you got a little bit of time for some shoulder rotations and some neck rolls that we did early on. You're not hitting full body, you're not getting up. These stretches you could maybe pull in briefly a few times a day. So we're going to stretch down the side of the neck, okay? We're going to push your palm down to the floor as if you're trying to reach the floor with it, okay? So it's really lengthening out the muscles that go down, okay? We're going to take the opposite hand over the top of our head and we're going to pull that ear down to our shoulder. Notice I have space here. I'm not pulling my shoulder up to my ear. I'm keeping my shoulder down, okay? Pulling that ear down to my shoulder and my eyes are forward. I'm not rotating my head down. We'll get to that. That's a different stretch. All right, so I'm maintaining this forward alignment. I should feel the stretch coming right down the side of the neck, maybe even into the shoulder a little bit. The rest of my posture is upright and I am engaging my core to support my spine while I'm standing. And then of course we would switch and do the same thing on the other side. Reach, pull, shoulder down. Again, give yourself a certain count or a certain number of breaths in this exercise. Next, neck exercise. Both arms are coming out to the side. I would not recommend this exercise if you have shoulder problems. There is a potential to make them a little aggravated, all right? So I would skip it, just watch and move on to other things. So we're going to take one arm behind our back like we're scratching our back. We're going to turn and look towards the other hand. We're going to take that hand over the crown of our head and we're going to pull our nose down as if we're trying to sniff our armpit. What that's going to do is it's going to stretch the muscles that come down the back on this side of the neck, and depending on how tight you are, there are some days when I do this stretch where I'll feel this stretch pull all the way down into my shoulder blade. Go ahead and relax, and then of course we would do the other side. Hand behind your back, look towards the extended arm, pull your nose down towards your armpit. Also note that my head, my eyes are down. I am now not turned forward. If I turn my head forward in this stretch, it's going to change the part of my neck that's being targeted. So make sure you keep your eyes down. All right, so moving on from our neck stretches, if you've got more time, so I'm just making sure I've hit my checklist of the things that I usually want to stretch when my back is feeling tight. This is going to be these are going to be the last two, okay, as far as stretches, and then I'm going to get into some strength exercises. Actually, we're going to do three. I apologize. So the first is going to be targeted towards the glutes, okay? If you, again, are not comfortable getting on the floor, this exercise can be done on a table or a bed, something of that nature. You're going to take your heel, tuck it into your hip, put your knee on your elevated object, table, chair, bed. You're going to turn your belly button towards your kneecap. Notice my posture is stacked in a line, and I'm going to maintain that alignment as I move in. So I'm not curling my upper body over. I'm leaning in from the hip and stretching, and what I'm feeling is this leg that's on the bed, that hip muscle, these muscles right through here on that leg are really feeling a good stretch, a good pull, okay? But I am working to maintain my posture the whole time that I lean in. And why am I doing that? Because I want the stretch coming from my hip, not from my upper back, which is already stretched out from sitting in a crappy posture anyways. Okay, so then we of course would switch legs and do it on the other side. Okay, if you prefer to be on the floor for this stretch, it will look like this. You're going to come down, tuck that heel into your hip, my legs behind me, but I could have it rotated open, though I don't particularly care for that posture on this stretch. Belly button is towards my knee, posture is upright, and I'm leaning into that stretch. I personally feel like I get a little more out of this when I'm able to utilize an elevated object like the bed or a table or something of that nature. Right? There's going to be two other versions of this stretch, though I do typically recommend that you do one leg and then the other, and then come back to the second version and the third version. So version 2, same position, only look, now my knee is at 90 degrees, my foot is not tucked into my hip, okay? Posture is still upright, I'm still rotating my body towards my kneecap, and I'm leaning into that knee, keeping my posture in line. So I'm still getting that stretch in the hip that I was doing before, but I'm also feeling that stretch start to pull from that hip down the outside of the leg a little bit on this knee that's, or on this leg that's on the bed, okay? And then of course we would switch to the other leg, do the other side, and then the third version of this stretch is going to be greater than 90-degree angle on the knee. So my foot is definitely farther out from my hip than when I started. I'm still turning my belly button in line with my knee. I still have my posture upright, engaging and bending from the hip joint to lean in. I do feel a little bit of stretch in that hip, but not nearly as much. Now what I feel is on the leg that's here on the bed, that stretch is pulling down the outside of the leg. And so this muscle here on the outside is a tough one to stretch. And it does help control knee stability. It connects below the knee and up here on the hip. So it can get tight from a long time seated position. All right. So that's our hip stretch. Again, this next one you can do laying on a bed. I think it's probably going to be easier than laying on a couch if you're not comfortable laying on the floor. But I'm going to demonstrate it on the floor here because it'll just be a little bit easier to see. So you're going to get in a position where you can lay down, extend your arms out to the side at shoulder height. You're going to take your knees and you are going to drop them gently to one side, okay? And when you're going to this side, you're going to turn and look towards that shoulder, and you're going to work on keeping this arm and the back of this shoulder over here on the floor. Now, what if you can't get your legs to touch the floor and keep your shoulder down? That's fine. Maybe your stretch looks like this, where your knees are kind of elevated and you're keeping the shoulder down. That's okay. And then we come up, we go to the other side, drop the knees down, keep the shoulder, and look towards the hand that's in the opposite direction of the knee, okay? Slow and controlled when you come up, okay? The last stretch that I'm going to give you to do, and please keep in mind, these are not all stretches that you have to do at one time. This is obviously going to take you longer than 5 minutes if you do them all together. But you can sprinkle a few here and there throughout the day just to feel a little better. So I'm actually going to snag my belt, though you know what? We were using that towel earlier. The towel will work just fine. You're going to lay on the bed. You're going to loop the towel into the natural curve of your neck, and then you're going to support your neck as you let your head hang off the edge of your bed. Okay. So I'm right here on the edge. My neck is supported, and I let my head drop down. Okay. Think about keeping your shoulders pulled down. Grab a hold of these, the ends of your towel, and just support that natural curve in your neck as you let those muscles relax, okay? Like I said before, we have a natural curve to our neck, but because of that forward head position, we oftentimes are kind of negating that curve and stretching it out into a straighter line. So by doing this, you're allowing yourself to re-support that curve and stretch out on the neck a little bit. All right. So those are the different stretches that you can implement periodically throughout your day in order to try to loosen up the muscles that get tight and pull you into a bad posture because of repetitive tightness and sitting, okay? Next, let's touch on some strength exercises that can help. Once you've got muscles stretched out, we want to maintain that posture, okay? So first of all, what should that posture look like? I'm going to grab my stability ball again here. When you're sitting, ideally, you want to be in a position where your ears, shoulder, and hips are stacked, okay? You want to pull your belly button into your spine, just like I talked about in those other exercises where it's like you're trying to touch your spine, the front side of your spine here, with the back of your belly button. So imagine you're trying to pull it into that spine, okay? Shoulders are back, chin is lifted, okay? So this is a good posture position. Oftentimes when we're seated, we kind of curve into this position, or depending on our keyboard alignment, we end up here with this like elevated shoulder, like T-Rex arms position, okay? Just demonstrating that I can feel everything I just did unwind, okay? So first, do not get under the illusion that using a stability ball helps you sit up straight. I don't know how much time a day I find myself in this posture when I'm sitting on my stability ball watching students with their exercises, okay? So make sure that we're sitting up straight. Some of the things that you can do in your workstation to create this is get a box that you can set your monitor or your laptop on so the screen is elevated to about this height. That immediately takes that lower eyesight and chin tuck out of the neck and brings you upright. Well, if my keyboard's up here, now what? Okay, go ahead and get one of these mobile keyboards. They're fairly cheap. I think I picked this one up a few years ago at Kroger, no less, in their electronics department for maybe 15 or 20 bucks. I'm sure there are fancier, more expensive, and probably more durable ones that you can get from other providers, but in a jam and wanting to get something quickly, there may be one available at your local Kroger. So what that allows you to do is you take your little USB drive and you plug it into your computer. All right. And now my computer is elevated and my hands are down here, so I'm able to keep my shoulders back and down while I'm typing, okay? If you are using a stability ball, make sure you're choosing a ball that's high enough up that your hips are higher than my knees. See how I have a slightly downward slope? So that's going to create a better position, whereas if I'm sitting like this is just going to increase that tightness in the hip flexors and create more of this tilt naturally because I'm pulling my knees up, okay? So if you're choosing a ball or a seat, your hips should be higher than your knees, and your knees, woohoo, should be in line with your hips. So we're not here like this, we're not with our feet crossed, we're not with our legs crossed, okay? All of these are going to create imbalances and misalignments in our hip joints. So also with your feet grounded, it's a little bit easier to engage that core naturally and sit up straight and create a nice lap for your new keyboard, okay? So those are some just basic ideas. Obviously they'll require a little creativity on your part and how to create that more ergonomic workstation, but those slight changes in workstation alignment are also going to help with posture, making it easier to engage your posture and making it easier to maintain your alignment throughout the day. Also, another one, if you can avoid offsetting your monitor. So we really don't want to sit like this all day, right? One side of my neck's getting tight, one side of my neck is stretching the whole day long. It's basically no different than sitting like this all day, okay? You're just creating that imbalance in a different place. So ideally, you want the center alignment of your body looking at your computer screen, okay? So those are a few things that you can use to set up your station to minimize creating imbalances for yourself. And now we're gonna move into strength, all right? So first, we'll touch on strength through the upper back. Palms up, thumbs facing out. Notice my hands are here. I don't need to bring them all the way together, okay? These muscles are already tight. We're not trying to do anything to tighten them up more, okay? So right here, abs engaged, just squeezing those shoulder blades together, taking your thumbs, and ideally, you'll notice that my elbows go behind my shoulders. So when I come back, the muscles right here, I can actually feel them coming together and trying to touch, okay? So how many reps? 10, 30, 1, 2, 3 sets. It depends on how much time you have. If you're gonna stop and do this exercise 2 or 3 times a day, maybe you're doing 1 set of 10 or 15 each time. If you're doing this exercise once a day, maybe you're trying to carve out time for 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 20. So it's really going to depend on what you are able to give yourself. Okay, so that's going to be our fly. Let's say you work out regularly, you're not really feeling like you're getting anything out of that. You can always take some light weights, no more than 5 pounds, okay? And because we're hitting small muscles in the back of our shoulders as well as our shoulder blades, okay? So we want to use light weights and focus on alignment, not heavy weights that are going to pull us into a curved position when we relax, okay? At the bottom of this, I'm keeping the same posture as I am at the top, okay? So light weights, no weights, just focus on technique, all right? Let's target through here. So I always encourage my clients to think of their core, pardon me, the way you think of a core of an apple, all right? So you don't just eat one side of the apple and go, whoa, core, got it, we're done. You eat all the way around the apple and the core is what's left, okay? It's the same thing with your body. You've got muscles on the front, the side, and the back, and all of them need to be equally balanced. Otherwise, some are gonna be doing more work to compensate for others. So, center plank. If you're not comfortable getting on the floor, you're going to use an elevated surface, wall, countertop, bed, desk, whatever. Okay. I'm creating a 90-degree angle from my wrist to my shoulder. If I don't like being on the wrists extended, I can go knuckles, okay? Or I can go elbows. And then from here, I'm creating a straight line, shoulder, hip, knee, and heel, okay? I'm using that belly button to the spine technique, so I'm not just hanging out in this position. I'm making the core hold that alignment from here to here, okay? Squeezing these muscles in as if I was zipping up a tight pair of pants, all right? Hold that in. You can do the same position on the floor, elbows and feet, pretending this is my floor. I can go elbows and feet, elbows and knees, hands and knees, okay? The important thing is the 90-degree angle here at the shoulder and the alignment hip, shoulder, hip, and knee. Also, anytime you're doing a forward plank or a push-up position, you don't want to let that head hang out down here. Just like I said before, your head and neck are part of your spine. Make them strengthen up the muscles that are going to keep your head in a good position. All right, side plank. There's 3 lines in a side plank designed to target the muscles in the side of the core. Excuse me. The first line is either hand, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand. Okay, so we're creating this straight line here. So, for those not on the floor, there's my straight line. Okay, or if I'm on my hand, there's my straight line. Okay, next straight line, nose, sternum, belly button, the line in between the knees, okay? So that is a straight line. It's coming at an angle because of my support position, but it's still a straight line. Third straight line is harder to see from this view, but if I were supported on this arm over here, it's ear, shoulder, hip, knee, okay? So let's go ahead and do a side plank facing this way so you can see that alignment, okay? Ear, shoulder, hip, knee, nice straight line here, okay? What if you're on your feet? Sometimes people find that stacking their feet is challenging and makes them unstable. Trying to get in a position where you can see my feet stacked. Okay, so this is an option. I also can stagger as long as I put my heel and my toes on that straight line coming down from my hip, okay? So then I've got a nice stable base down there, and I've still got my hips open. So that's your side plank position. Again, you can anchor onto an elevated surface with the elbow or the hand like I was demonstrating previously. Hold for equal counts on both sides. In my opinion, if you're holding 30 seconds to the center, you want to try and do 30 seconds to the sides and the back as well. All right, we're going to go with Superman. So Superman is laying on your stomach, lifting your feet and thighs, your chest and head off the floor, strengthening these muscles right through here, okay? You can do a smaller Superman, see my elbows are bent here, or you can go fully extended. That's gonna create more work for your upper back, challenge them more, strengthen those muscles up more. So it kind of depends on where you're starting as to what level of Superman you wanna start at, okay? Just a few more strength exercises. We've got bird dogs. This is a great exercise for core strength, core stability, and alignment. Let's pretend that you can do this on your bed because I'm not going to do it on the squishy surface right now. But when you are on your bed, on your floor, you want your knees under your hips, your hands under your shoulders so you're creating a nice squared position. Notice I have my shoulder alignment through my hips, so I'm not hunching down, I'm not arching up. I'm using that belly button to create a straight line, and then I pick up the opposite hand and foot and extend that straight line. So I'm not overarching, I'm not letting them reach to the floor, just nice straight alignment here, straight alignment here. So I'm trying to create that alignment, keep my belly button in. I'm also trying to use that core strength to minimize a lot of rocking from side to side, okay? So it's your bird dogs. If you want to challenge your balance, I'm a big fan of what I call bird dippers because they remind me of those little birds that sit on the bird bath and tip over. 90-degree angle here. Shoulder, hip, and knee and heel move together, right? And then we just tip right over and come back up, okay? So let's say your balance isn't great. Maybe we tip over to here, but I've still got my straight line, okay? And I've still got my straight line. The two things I see people do is they reach down with their hand and then they kick their heel up, or once they're up, they set their foot down and then they stand up. Both of those are not maintaining the alignment that you're trying to do. Also, we're not rotating open. My shoulders and my hips are parallel. My back toe is facing down, so I'm not curling my body open as I bend, okay? And then the last strength exercise is going to utilize a flat surface like a wall or a door. Feet are going to be away, maybe a foot, so you can have a little bend in the knee. You're going to tuck your abs in so that you're literally flattening your low back to the wall. You should be able to put your hands back here and not slide them behind your low back. And then you're going to put your mid back or your upper back and the back of your head against the wall. Sorry, I didn't grab my water. For some people, just getting that alignment in place is tricky. Maybe you've spent so much time in a forward position that getting your head back is difficult. That's a good place to start, okay? If you can maintain all of those things, then I do what I call angels, where we start here, we open up. Our goal in opening up is to get back of the elbow here and the back of the hand to touch the wall at the same time. And it's not, my wrists are bent and I'm touching with my fingertips. My hands are flat. So we're opening up, okay? If you can do this, no problem, then phase 2 is starting to maintain all those anchor points on the wall. So tailbone or your hips, your glutes, your low back, your back between your shoulder blades, the back of your head. If you can maintain all those anchor points and get your elbows in the back of your hand, then we're going to slide up the wall. All right? How far do you slide? As far as you can maintain your arms on the wall. So once I get to about here, my wrists want to bend. All right? So that's where I stop. Okay? So I know this has been a 40-minute, 45-minute instructional how-to on a lot of different stretches and a lot of different strength exercises to help with posture. Don't think you have to do all of them unless you really want to focus on your posture as something that you're looking to strengthen and align. Pull in a few here and a few there, so you're doing a variety every day. Maybe pick 1 or 2 strength exercises, 2 stretches, and a couple of the warm-up exercises, and create a little 5 to 10 minute mix, and you take 2 or 3 breaks a day and do them. And I think just a little bit of focus on your alignment and your mobility, you'll find over the course of several days or several weeks, depending on how much longer you're working from home, will really help you work out some of the kinks that are adding up from being in front of your computer day in and day out. So hopefully this is beneficial. Have a great day, and you're welcome to follow up with me if you have questions. Thank you.